Welcome back. Let's jump right in. The sixth step in you becoming a more effective leader is that you learn to increase the value of the team. Or, in other words, you make the team better. We might refer to this concept as intellectually stimulating our team. We want to make our team smarter. We want to make our team more effective in solving problems and capturing opportunities. So, how do we do this? Well, as the leader, you must take the responsibility for developing your team. This is one of the aspects of leadership that really only leaders are in a place to do this. Just anybody in a team would struggle at making the team better, but it is one of the core responsibilities and duties of a leader. So, let's jump in on how you, as a leader, can make your team better. Let me give you a phrase. Every day we give it our best, and every day we improve our best. Now, at the end of the day, you can only hold the people on your team at giving it their best. Somebody can only give it their best, right? You can't expect people to do better than what they can do. Now, that said, as a leader, though, you can encourage your team to give it their best every day, but then every day to do something to improve their best. Now, this works on an individual level, so each person on your team needs to give their best and improve their best every day. But this also works on the team level. The team needs to give it their best, and the team needs to improve their best every day. Let me give you a few ideas on how to improve your best on your team. The first tool is called the 1% improvements. If you look at any successful company where they are now and where they started, you'll see that there were huge changes. A lot of things have gotten a lot better over the years. Well, most likely it wasn't just like one big change that happened. Instead, it was a whole bunch of 1% changes. So I want to encourage you to get together with your team and ask them, how can we do things 1% better? Now, here's why I think 1% is really brilliant. If you tell your team, like, hey, things need to improve, how can we make things 100 times better? Well, here's the truth. If anybody in your team knew how to do things 100 times better, they would have already done that. In fact, if you go to a brainstorming session and you talk about 100 times better, you might find that a lot of your team actually freezes up. Like, just nobody has any ideas. But if you go to your team, you say, let's brainstorm. How do we make this 1% better this week? Or how can you do your job 1% better? Or how can we get 1% more efficient in this area? If you hold a brainstorming session like that, you're going to find a lot of ideas start coming up. And if you start applying these things, they'll start building upon one another. And over time, you're going to have this massive improvement. And what happened? It was just a whole bunch of little 1% improvements that added up. Additionally, if you have a brainstorm session over 1% improvements, every once in a while, somebody's going to actually throw out a 10% or a 50% or even 100% better idea. So throwing out the idea, 1% improvement will go a long way in getting your team in a creative mode to think through changes. Now, another way you can make your team better, and this one can be a difficult one. As a leader, you may be called upon to make difficult decisions. In fact, one of the things we've talked about is that healthy things grow. And so if you feel like your team or your organization is not growing, it may be because there's something really unhealthy on your team. You, as the leader, are the one who have to make these difficult calls. Is there somebody on your team that needs to be in a different position or who does not need to be on the team anymore? Now, I know even thinking about this may make a lot of us cringe. But the truth is, if you have the wrong person on the team, and after you have done a reasonable effort in helping them to improve and to make corrections, if they just won't do it, one of the kindest things you can do for that person is to help that person get to a place where they really can thrive. Likewise, for the rest of your team, if they see that there's somebody who's really not doing a great job, they're not fitting in well, and nobody's doing anything about that, that can really demoralize the rest of your team. So, if you want to make your team better, one of the questions you need to ask is, do we have the right team? Do we need to make any changes? Should I have a hard conversation with a certain person on the team and say, like, hey, here's where we are. Here's where we need to be by a certain time. Let's come up with a plan to get you there. Other hard conversations you might have to have as a leader is, do we need to make any changes with how we spend our money here? Does our budget Does our budget represent our vision? Are we spending money on projects that really are not pushing the vision forward? Do we need to change up the priorities of our staff? Maybe our staff has been working on these things, but the truth is that's not really on point for what we're trying to accomplish as an organization or a team. So we need to change up the priorities. You as a leader are the one who's going to have to do that. No one else can do that, but you can do that. When it comes to priorities, I do want to give you one tool that can be helpful. It's called a 6x6. A 6x6, this is what are 6 things you want to accomplish in 6 months. It would be good for your team to have one. It would be good for each person on your team to have one as well. Now, 6x6, that's not some sort of magic formula. You can customize that as much as you want. Maybe it's 2 things you'd like to see done in 6 months, or maybe it's 3 things you'd like to see done in 3 weeks. Customize that however you like, but let it be clear, and the whole team needs to know what's expected by a certain time. So maybe it is 6 things that need to be accomplished over the next 6 months. This is an effective tool for reprioritizing the team. Another way you can make your team better is by having a brainstorming session on a SWOT analysis. So get a whiteboard or something similar, bring your team together, and write on the board strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And brainstorm with the team. Like, what are the things that we think are going really well? What are our strengths? Let's be honest. What are our weaknesses? What are our opportunities? And what are the threats to our team or organization? Strengths and weaknesses, those are internal factors. Opportunities and threats, those are external opportunities or challenges. Another brainstorming session you can have is by asking a team, hey, what is missing? What is confusing about our team? Is there anything where people are just unclear on how we do something, or how somebody grows in a certain area, or what we're asking people to do? Is there something missing? Do we need to add anything? Do we need to delete anything? Is there anything in our team that honestly we're just wasting time doing that? Having these sort of brainstorming conversations can go a long way in helping your team learn to think for themselves on how to solve problems and how to capture opportunities. Another way that you can make your team better is by supplying training materials. Do the hard work of finding some books and either pass them out to individuals on your team, or the whole team read through a book together, or maybe it's a blog post. It's not uncommon for me to print off a blog that I've seen and distribute it in a staff meeting to each person who's present. As a leader, you need to find ways to, again, stimulate the thinking of your team, and providing materials even on a weekly basis can do that. Other ideas for helping to just really supply training is there a conference one of your people on your team need to go to, or the whole team goes to together? Is there formal education that the organization or the team can help provide for an individual? Next, one-on-one conversations. One of the best ways that you can have an impact on making your team better is by having crucial conversations with people. A crucial conversation is when you sit down with somebody and you say, hey, I'm seeing something about you that I think you may not be seeing about yourself. Let me share with you what I noticed. I thought we were going to do this, but then I noticed you did that. Can you walk me through what happened? Why did things not go according to plan? Maybe you're seeing something that I'm not seeing. And these sort of crucial conversations can go really a long way in helping people go to the next level. In a conversation like this, you have an opportunity to call them to lead at a higher level. Another opportunity you have as a leader is to make the big ask. Leadership is not like, carpet bombing an area. Leadership is more like precision strikes. And one of the things that you can do as a leader is to make a big ask of somebody. If you see somebody and there's an area for them to improve in, man, go to them and ask them to do that. If there's an opportunity where you need someone to take on a new project, go to somebody and make a big ask and say, hey, based upon the needs we have and the skills you have, I'm asking you to take on this project. Call someone to a higher level. And then finally, a way that you can improve your team is by giving specific encouragements. The things that you celebrate as the leader are going to be the things that repeat themselves. So the more you can specifically celebrate certain wins, certain actions, certain behaviors, the more you're going to see that individual and other people on your team doing more and more of those sort of behaviors. So again, all you can do is ask your team to give it their best and to improve their best every day. And the more you do that, and the more that you find ways to intellectually stimulate your team, the more effective a leader you'll become.